Hi guys, so this video is going to be my labor and delivery story, and if you hear any weird noises, it's probably Levi. He's in the middle of nursing. So anyways, I'm gonna start when I first started feeling contractions, which I guess could be February 28th, and it was when I was trying to fall asleep and I kept feeling contractions and it seemed to come pretty often, so I started timing them and they were about 10 minutes apart, and that's when I thought that I was going into labor. But then the next morning they were kind of gone because they just weren't in that pattern anymore and I couldn't feel them as strongly. And then on March 3rd I had my appointment with my midwife and I told her about it, and she said that happens a lot during the end of pregnancy where you get those nighttime contractions. So yeah, I was kind of sad, but at least I was close, so that was exciting. And then on March 5th, Adam and I went to the mall and decided to walk around because I thought that would help to kind of get labor started. And then we went home afterwards because after the mall we went to the store, and then we went home and I went to the bathroom and I noticed some bloody show, and that made me super excited because I wasn't sure if it really meant labor was gonna happen soon or not, but it was exciting because it had to be any day, you know? And so I went to sleep, and then on March 6th I woke up at 3 in the morning and Adam was getting ready for work because he starts at 4, and so I didn't know if the reason I woke up was because of my contractions, because I had to go to the bathroom, or because Adam was just making noise while getting ready. But when I did try falling back asleep, I just could not at all. The contractions felt a lot stronger than they usually did because I had been having the nighttime contractions for like the past week, but these ones were a lot stronger and more uncomfortable because I just couldn't rest. I tried going to sleep for 2 hours, and then around 5 I was like, okay, whatever, I'm just gonna get ready for my day then. So I did that, and the contractions kept going even though I was walking around, standing up, doing whatever. And so I started timing them and they were not in a pattern, and so I didn't really know what to think about it. I texted my midwife, but this was pretty early, around like 5 or 6, so I didn't expect her to answer soon. But if things were getting serious, then I would call her. And then I was also texting Adam because I didn't know if it would be the day, and so I just kind of gave him a warning that Levi might arrive. And I also texted my mom because she's been through it and I didn't really know if it was the real deal or not. And so while I was waiting for people to respond, I just started watching TV, and then my mom woke up, so I was telling her about it, and then she suggested that I go walk around, and so I went on a walk with my sister. And this was probably by then around 7, maybe almost 8, I don't know. And I could walk through my contractions and talk through them, but I could feel them getting kind of strong. And but I still wasn't sure if it was the real deal because they weren't in a regular pattern and my water hadn't broke, so I didn't know. And I remember towards the end of the walk it was getting a little tough to keep going through them, So I kind of tried slowing down a bit, and I got home and I decided to call my midwife, and she told me to just eat and rest and see if they do get in a pattern, the contractions. And so that's what I did. And me and my sister played some games and I had a salad, and the contractions I felt like kept getting a tiny bit stronger as time went by. So Adam decided to come home, and that was around 9:30ish, maybe 10 in the morning. And then we went on another walk. It was me, Adam, my sister, and our dog. And this time I definitely had to stop during contractions because it just felt too uncomfortable to walk through them. It definitely got worse at the peak, so I could probably walk a little bit, but then have to stop while that peak happened. And yeah, and then when we went home, it's around lunchtime, so we had lunch and played some more games, but then I just started not being able to focus in the game. It was just like card games. I remember like phase 10, that kind of stuff, but I had to like put my cards down and just focus on the contraction. And so when that was over, I thought maybe it helped to take a bath to regulate those contractions. And so I did that, and then I also took a shower, and nothing helped. They were still irregular. So I was hoping it was the real thing, but I still was in doubt just because of that and because my water hadn't broke. And then I think that might have been around 4 o'clock. I think my midwife called me and she asked how things were going, and I told her, and she said to call her if I feel any pressure or if my water breaks. So I was like, okay, but none of that happened for a while. And then I think it was probably around 5 p.m. on March 6th when I just felt like I needed her to come. So I had my mom call her because I was starting to get to that point where I didn't want to talk through my contractions. And then while my mom was calling her, Adam was setting up the pool, and so I got in it a little bit right before she arrived. And so yeah, I was in there for a little bit, but then I came out so then she could check my dilation, and I was already 7 centimeters. So I was like, oh, okay, so this is it. I think that's when I realized it was really it, just because, you know, in the movies you always see how their water breaks and then they know they're in labor, but that just doesn't happen in real life, I guess. It's kind of harder, I don't know. So yeah, and then I was just in the pool for hours, and I started to throw up a lot, and because my midwife, she kept wanting me to drink water and some orange juice, and I kept throwing it back up, and so that was kind of annoying. So and then I definitely was in there past 8 o'clock, and then sometime around, I don't know, it might have been 9 or 10 p.m. when I finally got out of the pool, because my midwife said it just wasn't really working for me and that we should try other things to see if that helps, because I was just in a lot of pain, and I definitely was in transition when I was in the pool, and that's when I also started getting the feeling that I might need to push soon. but I also felt kind of weird pushing in the pool. I just don't think I liked that feeling that no one was really close to me, because I was in the pool all by myself and everyone was just kind of spaced out away from me. I don't know, but it felt a lot better when I moved and I went onto the bed, because I had Adam right behind me and my mom was holding my leg and everyone was around, and I think that made me feel a little bit safer, because transition definitely made me feel really scared. I was absolutely terrified. It just, because I was really excited to get him out until transition, and then I just freaked out, because the whole time I was like, oh, I can't wait until I can start pushing. But when that moment came, when it was getting close, I was like, oh no, I can't do this. That kind of thing. I remember asking for help a lot and telling them that I couldn't do it, and I knew that that meant I was in transition and that it was almost over, but the pain just was too strong for me. It was so intense. The worst part was just the actual contractions around the bottom of my abdomen and my back. It hurt. I feel like that was worse than pushing. I think it was especially terrifying for me because it was my first birth and it was completely natural, and I've never felt what it was like before this, so I didn't know what to expect. And for me, it was a lot worse than the pain was a lot worse than I thought it would be, because I've seen a lot of birth videos where women are almost silent, and I definitely was not silent. I didn't even know. I was just completely shocked, I guess. And I was at home, which I do feel more comfortable at home, but it's also kind of nerve-wracking because if anything goes wrong, you'll have to be transported, and that can be, freaky. So, finally, when I was on the bed for a little bit, maybe half an hour, I started having that irresistible urge to push. And this might be TMI, I don't know if you've heard what people say, but it does feel like you have to go number 2. Because I was always wondering what it felt like. But, so I was on my back, and my midwife wanted me to hold my legs because it would be easier to get momentum or something like that. And so I did, and I pushed for about an hour, which I was told it was less than the average time to push for first-time moms, which was nice, but also it felt like forever. So the whole time I was just wondering when he was finally gonna pop out. And I remember feeling that ring of fire, which actually didn't bother me at all. Like maybe a tiny bit, but it wasn't as bad as I thought it was going to be. And I remember feeling like he was crowning, and then they had a mirror, my midwife and her assistant, and they showed me how close I was, and it was not as close as I thought, and so I kind of got a little disappointed that it already hurt so bad, and it wasn't even like his head wasn't even coming out yet. But I eventually got there, and once I saw that the majority of his head was coming out, I just was so determined to push him out. So I tried really, really hard, and his head popped out, and then I was like, okay, well, the rest is easier, at least that's what people say. So I gave it another big push, and his shoulders just kind of shot out, and then the rest of his body did. I think there was a part where I kind of had to do a little extra push for his hips, and he was a lot bigger than I had thought. He actually ended up being 9 pounds and 2 ounces, and being my first baby, that was pretty big. I didn't see that coming. It just felt so amazing to finally see my baby, the one I've been carrying around for 9 months. And it felt also kind of unreal, like it was just incredible. And we had him on my chest, and I know he pooped on me, but it didn't bother me at all at the time. I was just so happy that I finally got to see him and hold him. I remember giving him a kiss on the head, and it was all like, I don't know, felt kind of mucusy, or I don't know, but it was really weird, and I was like, oh, okay, oh well. And then that's when things got kind of scary again, because I thought the worst part is over. Now I get to hold my baby and rest and be at home with my family. But apparently his shoulder gave me a huge tear, because I guess the way he just like moved and shot out, I don't know exactly what happened, but I was bleeding a lot. My midwife said I also had some kind of hemorrhage, so, but she wasn't at the time too worried about it. I think because first we had to wait for my placenta to come out, so I pushed that out, which at first I was kind of scared because I did not want to push anymore. I had my baby, I was ready to be done, but that was, you know, pretty easy. And then she said that the tear was pretty bad, so she was gonna stitch me up right there and then. She said usually she would wait, but there was just a lot of bleeding. And then I started seeing the looks on people's faces. Everyone was looking pretty terrified, and my midwife's assistant kept giving me some like ointment or something, not ointment, but some kind of thing in a bottle, and she put in my mouth that would help with the bleeding. And I couldn't see how much blood was coming out. I couldn't really feel it either. I was just happy to be holding my baby. But everyone started getting kind of scared. And next thing I know, my midwife tells me that she has to call the ambulance. I definitely didn't want to hear that. I had never imagined that I would have to be transported, because I didn't even pack a hospital bag. I thought about it, but I was like, no, I won't need it. So I was completely unprepared for that too. And I really didn't want anything bad to happen, because I was like, I just went through all of that. There's no way I'm gonna die or something. I didn't know. I just kind of went to worst case scenario. And yeah, and Adam was gonna have to be left home with the baby. I did not want to be separated from Levi at all. I had just finally gotten to hold him, and that was really hard for me. So yeah, all the paramedic and firefighter people came in. Slightly awkward because I was completely exposed and all those guys saw, but at the time I didn't really care. I was like, whatever, I'll never see you again, hopefully. And I just remember that whole time, from being in this room to being in the hospital, I kept hearing the words significant tear. That did not make me feel better about the situation at all. I was like, wow, how bad is this? I just kept kind of freaking out. So they took me in the ambulance, and I was trying so hard to stay awake because I was feeling pretty faint and weak, and I didn't want to pass out. I was really scared of that. I didn't want to, close my eyes and never open them again. My mind was going everywhere. I didn't know what was going to happen. I was separated from Adam and Levi. I did have my midwife in the ambulance, and my mom was in the front seat. And so it was kind of helpful to have those people there. But I was just trying to stay calm. I was breathing and just thinking about how I am going to see my son after this, and he's gonna have a mother, everything's gonna be okay. I just kind of tried to calm myself down. So I was at the hospital for at least an hour before the doctor finally stitched me up. So in the meantime, I was just in the bed with my IV going, and somebody took my labs, and they were asking my midwife a lot of questions about the birth. And Adam and Levi had met me at the hospital before the doctor actually got there. Well, I think it was right when she was about to start stitching me up is when they got there. I don't remember what time it was, but it might have been around 1 in the morning maybe, for March 7th. Because he was born, I totally forgot to mention this, Levi was born March 6th at 11:21 p.m. And that was after an hour of pushing. And he was 9 pounds and 2 ounces and 21 inches long. And he was really healthy. He still is, which is wonderful, because I'm glad that if anything bad happened, it was for me and not him. So anyways, she was stitching me up, the doctor, and luckily I didn't feel anything really, so that was nice, because I kind of freaked out of stitches. It's one of those things for me. But after that, they wanted me to try going to the bathroom, walking over there. So as soon as I got off the bed, just a whole bunch of blood gushed out, and it was everywhere, all over the floor, on my legs. And honestly, it freaked me out a lot, because that was the most blood I've ever seen in real life, in person. And when I was walking, it was just this big trail following me. And I remember telling Adam, because he helped me walk in the bathroom along with a nurse or two, I told Adam that I felt like I was gonna pass out, because everything just started getting dark. And the nurse told me to keep my head up, and I did, but I ended up passing out anyways, which does scare me, because I didn't know if I would wake up, just because of how much blood there was. I don't know how much blood I lost, but it definitely was a lot, and it freaked me out. Time felt really weird after that, because I don't know how long I was out, and it felt kind of like I was in and out of reality. It was just so weird. And finally, I kind of was able to regain my consciousness. I was still on the toilet, and the nurses, there was a lot more when I woke up, because only one of them came in the bathroom with me, but then when I woke up, it was just so many people in my face. There was the doctor, all the nurses, Adam. It was a lot of people. And they helped me back on the bed, and I don't remember exactly what they did to try helping me, because I just felt so out of it. When I woke up from passing out, I didn't really know what was going on. I was really confused. And anyways, after everything got settled down, I finally was able to hold Levi again and nurse him for the first time, which was really nice. He has a great latch, and Sometimes it's kind of painful, but I'm trying to work on that. You know, it takes practice. But I'm glad that he wasn't having any problems. It was just kind of hard because how we were separated. And then my dad and my sister were there, and so it was nice to have support. And then after a while they decided to go home because I was supposed to stay overnight at the hospital. And then of course Adam and Levi stayed with me. And I remember we had some food like fruit and crackers and stuff like that. I felt so thirsty too, and my throat was really dry because of the noises I was making during labor. So I just wanted like more and more water, which sucked because then it made me have to go to the bathroom, and I was scared of trying to do that again. So then they moved us to the postpartum room, and that room was a lot more peaceful because that kind of where the chaos ended. And yeah, so then Adam fell asleep. I couldn't fall asleep though, just because everything that had happened. And I was holding Levi, and he was pretty quiet, didn't cry much, which was nice. And then eventually I did have to go to the bathroom again, and I pushed the button for the nurse, and it was seriously like 10-15 minutes later, she still wasn't coming, and I really had to go, but I was scared that I was gonna pass out again. Adam helped me, and I did feel really lightheaded, but it wasn't as bad, and not a lot of blood was coming out. And then finally she did come in the room when I was already going back to the bed, and she told us to get some breakfast and all that, so we ordered that, and everything was kind of good from there. I started feeling better, less lightheaded, and just drinking and eating more. I still had IVs, and I had an IV in my arm. But it was just pretty traumatic experience for me because I didn't know what was gonna happen or if everything was gonna be okay. And then the doctor told me that I might have to stay another night if I wasn't feeling well enough, but I really wanted to go home, so I was able to do that just because I was feeling a little bit better standing up. I tried my best because I just wanted to go home. That's all I wanted. Just be home with my baby and get away from all that hospital stuff. And so on March 7th in the afternoon, it might have been around 3 p.m., I finally was discharged from the hospital, and we went home and had pizza, and that's pretty much my whole labor and delivery story. And I'm sorry that this video is going to be really long, but a lot of stuff happened. So I feel like it was the most amazing day. You know, the day I get to meet my first baby, my first son. Just, it was incredible. And as scary as it was, I would do it again for him because he's worth it, and I wouldn't change it for anything. So thanks for listening to my story.